As it turned out, Zuriko wasn't the only one smitten with Tamuna. His younger brother Elguja had also taken a liking to her from the very first time he saw her during a visit. This explained why Elguja started showing up more frequently, less to see his brother and more to flirt with Tamuna. What no one knew was that his advances were reciprocated. The two began meeting secretly for meals, movies, and even occasional rendezvous at a hotel. Hey there, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into another chilling real-life story from around the world. This time, we're heading to Rayong, Thailand, where a seemingly perfect family life takes a dark and unexpected turn. This family was the picture of harmony, with multiple generations, grandfather, children, and grandchildren, living peacefully under one roof. But as time went on, the grandfather's health started to decline, and he required constant care at home. That's when strange and unsettling events began to unfold, ultimately leading to a courtroom drama. What really happened? What's the full story behind this mysterious case? Stick around, because we're about to uncover it all. Let's jump right in. Before we dive into the story, take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. And hey, don't forget to share this story with your friends. It's one you'll want to talk about. So, here's the story. Meet Zuriko, born in 1949 in Chanthaburi, Thailand. He was a talented chef who honed his skills in the culinary world and even spent 12 years working in Qatar, serving as a chef in several restaurants. In 1970, he returned to Thailand and married Nana, a woman 7 years his senior. The couple settled in Rayong City, where they lived a humble yet happy life running a small restaurant. Over time, they were blessed with 4 sons and a daughter. Family life was peaceful, and everyone got along well. Sons-in-law, daughters-in-law, siblings, you name it. Things started to shift when Nana developed heart problems and had to seek treatment abroad. Tragically, in 2014, Nana passed away, leaving Zuriko alone in their family home. This worried their children, who decided the youngest son, Vaza, should move in with his father. Vaza agreed and brought his wife, Anano, and their children along. Despite his love for big motorcycles and his job in the music industry, Vaza was known for his gentle nature. He shared a special bond with his father, Zuriko. The two enjoyed singing, cruising the city on their bikes, and playing sports together. Zuriko was also a doting grandfather, known for his healthy lifestyle and the care he showed to his grandchildren. He was beloved by his neighbors, the motorcycle community, and his younger brother Elguja, who lived just 10 kilometers away. The brothers often spent weekends fishing and catching up, sometimes with Elguja's wife tagging along. But everything began to change in February 2018. One day, 69-year-old Zuriko slipped in the bathroom and suffered a seizure. He was admitted to Rayong City General Hospital for a week and was eventually discharged after recovering. However, the fall left him with lingering issues. His left hand and leg were partially numb and difficult to move. While some called it a stroke, others referred to it as partial paralysis. Since both Vaza and Anano worked full-time, the family decided to hire a caregiver for Zuriko. They searched far and wide, using social media and asking relatives for recommendations. Finally, they found Tamuna, a 37-year-old woman with a solid background in elderly care and experience as a nurse at Rayong City General Hospital. She seemed perfect for the role. At first, Zuriko resisted the idea. He didn't want to burden his children financially. But after much persuasion, he agreed. Tamuna moved into the house, working 6 days a week with Sundays off. She quickly proved to be skilled and compassionate, caring for Zuriko's needs. The rest of the family also pitched in, visiting him twice a week to check on him. Even Elguja, his younger brother, frequently stopped by. At first, Elguja would come with his wife, but over time, he started visiting alone, sometimes 4 or 5 times a week. Soon, whispers of something unusual began to surface. Vaza's wife, Anano, noticed Elguja acting a little too friendly with Tamuna. She caught him flirting on more than one occasion. Trying to stay optimistic, Anano brushed it off and mentioned it to Vaza, who simply told her not to worry unless Tamuna reported anything strange. Over the next 3 months, Zuriko seemed to be on the mend. His regular checkups at the hospital showed significant improvement. His left hand had regained movement, and he could walk normally again. The doctors were optimistic, even calling his recovery remarkable. But despite his progress, Zuriko insisted he wasn't fully recovered and still needed Tamuna to care for him. His children, wanting to respect his wishes, agreed to keep her on. However, Zuriko's behavior started to take a strange turn. He frequently asked his children for large sums of money, claiming he wanted to travel and avoid feeling cooped up at home. These trips were often just him and Tamuna. What truly alarmed his children was discovering that his savings had dwindled significantly, with no clear explanation of where the money had gone. When questioned, Zuriko would respond dismissively, "It's none of your business. If you're giving, do it with sincerity, no need for questions." Then came an unsettling night in August 2018. Anano, his daughter-in-law, had long suspected a relationship between her father-in-law and the nurse. That night, she heard a commotion in the back storage area. When she went to investigate, she found Zuriko and Tamuna rummaging through old copper ornaments stored there. Startled, she asked what they were doing. Without hesitation, Zuriko replied, "Tamuna wants to take these home. Better that than letting them sit here and rot." Shrugging it off, Anano returned to her room. But the night didn't end there. Around 1 in the morning, she was awakened by strange noises coming from her father-in-law's room. Concerned, she knocked on the door. When she opened it, she was shocked to see Zuriko standing there, completely unclothed, while Tamuna was under the blanket, her face pale with fear. Furious, Zuriko barked, "Mind your own business and go back to your room." Shaken, Anano did as she was told and later confided in her husband. But Vaza simply chuckled and said, "If it's consensual, just let it be." Word quickly spread among Zuriko's children. They confronted him, but his response was as dismissive as ever. "It's none of your business." The children didn't mind if he wanted to remarry, but they felt it was important to ensure Tamuna wasn't already married or had children of her own. When they pressed him further, Zuriko snapped, "I've already asked, and it's fine. Don't meddle in things you don't understand." Even Vaza tried to get answers, directly asking Tamuna about her marital status and her relationship with his father. She admitted to being a widow but refused to comment further, leaving everyone in the dark. Then came September 5, 2018. That afternoon, Vaza returned home from the workshop to find his father and uncle Elguja in the middle of a heated argument. The two elderly brothers were hurling insults, their faces red with anger, and seemed on the verge of physical violence. Tamuna was on her day off, and the house was eerily quiet apart from the shouting. Rushing in, Vaza managed to break them up and tried to mediate. Neither of them was willing to explain the cause of the fight, but eventually, tensions eased, and they were speaking civilly again. Thinking the worst was over, Vaza left to pick up his wife and children from church. When he returned 2 hours later, the scene at his home was chaos. A crowd of neighbors had gathered, their faces filled with worry and shock. Confused, Vaza pushed through the throng to find out what had happened. A local community leader approached him with grim news. His father, Zuriko, had been rushed to Rayong General Hospital after being stabbed. And the attacker? None other than his own brother Elguja, who had already been taken into custody at the Rayong police station. What really happened between the brothers, Zuriko and Elguja, turned out to be even more dramatic than anyone expected. It was true all along. Zuriko had been in a romantic relationship with Tamuna, the nurse, practically since her first week on the job. The old man admitted he was drawn to Tamuna's gentle, caring nature, and her physical appearance was exactly his type. According to him, they became intimate almost every night, and she never turned him down. But after a couple of months, Tamuna began asking for large sums of money, steadily draining his savings. Despite this, Zuriko kept giving her what she wanted because, as he put it, he loved her. As it turned out, Zuriko wasn't the only one smitten with Tamuna. His younger brother Elguja had also taken a liking to her from the very first time he saw her during a visit. This explained why Elguja started showing up more frequently, less to see his brother and more to flirt with Tamuna. What no one knew was that his advances were reciprocated. The two began meeting secretly for meals, movies, and even occasional rendezvous at a hotel. Like Zuriko, Elguja also found himself giving Tamuna money whenever she asked. Things escalated on one of Tamuna's days off. Elguja came over and found only Zuriko at home. Frustrated and jealous, he confronted his brother, accusing him of faking his need for care just to keep Tamuna around. The argument quickly turned personal when Zuriko revealed that Tamuna was more than just his nurse. She was his girlfriend. This infuriated Elguja, who admitted to having his own relationship with her. The brothers argued heatedly, but Vaza managed to step in and break it up before it got worse. However, the tension reignited once Vaza left the house. In a fit of rage, Elguja grabbed a kitchen knife and attacked his brother. Their shouts were loud enough to alert the neighbors, who rushed in to break up the fight. Zuriko was badly injured but survived the attack. Meanwhile, Elguja was taken into custody by the police. The aftermath of the incident left a deep stain on the family. Elguja's wife and children were horrified and ashamed of his actions, especially since it brought legal trouble into their lives. While the family's lawyer tried to resolve the case amicably, the court was firm. Justice needed to be served. Amid the chaos, tragedy struck again. On Christmas Day, December 25, 2018, Vaza was involved in a fatal motorcycle accident. His untimely death devastated the family, especially Zuriko, who was left heartbroken. Tamuna and the children also grieved the loss of such a kind and loving figure. The trial for Elguja resumed at the Rayong City High Court. The case was straightforward. There were no major disputes or contradictions in the evidence or testimonies. On December 5, 2018, the judge sentenced Elguja to 5 years in prison for assault and attempted murder. However, he was granted the possibility of parole after serving at least 2 years. Following the trial, both Zuriko's and Elguja's families united in filing a complaint against Tamuna for fraud and professional misconduct. They believed her actions had not only exploited their family, but also contributed to the tragic events that unfolded. But as you might have guessed, things didn't go as smoothly as expected. It took nearly a year for the authorities to track down Tamuna, as the address she had provided when she applied for the job turned out to be fake. Even the hospital she claimed to have worked at denied ever employing her. After an exhaustive search, the police finally caught up with her. She was found hiding in Saraburi with her boyfriend, Shota. When she was arrested, Tamuna confessed that everything she had done was under Shota's direction. He was 2 years younger than her and had been pulling the strings the whole time. While Tamuna did have basic knowledge of caring for the sick, like administering injections and doing basic checkups, she had no formal medical background. Everything she knew she had learned informally while working as a domestic helper. Even the certificate she used to secure the job was fake. When Tamuna realized that both Zuriko and Elguja were attracted to her, Shota saw an opportunity. He instructed her to manipulate the situation and milk the brothers for as much money as possible. Over time, she drained the family of nearly $20,000. The truth didn't fully come to light until February 9, 2020, when a nano testified about what she had witnessed at her house. With this evidence, Tamuna was charged with extortion, fraud, forgery, and professional misconduct. She was sentenced to 2 years in prison with no chance for early release. Her boyfriend, Shota, was sentenced to 1 year for his role in the scheme. While the family accepted the court's decision, they couldn't help but feel frustrated. They hoped that Zuriko could finally move on from Tamuna, who had so clearly played him and taken advantage of his feelings. The case sparked mixed reactions. Some believed that both Zuriko and Elguja were partly to blame since they willingly gave her money and were clearly satisfied with what they got in return. Others argued that Tamuna and Shota's deceitful manipulation crossed every line. What lessons can we learn from this story?